So hello, y'all. My name is Matt Peterson. I use he, him as pronouns. I am with Orientation and New Student Programs. I just wanted to welcome y'all to our Wednesday webinar series. If this is your first one, welcome. If this is not your first one, welcome back. Wednesday webinars are designed to help prepare you for your arrival to UVA. So each week we've been running them throughout the whole summer. So we have two more coming up, so be sure to check those out as well. And if you've missed any, we have recordings uploaded onto our website. But yeah, I just wanted to share a couple of reminders with you. You've still got some deadlines coming up in your new student portal. Make sure you're staying up to date on your tasks so that you're ready to roll into this fall. You can access the new student portal from our website, orientation.virginia.edu. Also, make sure that you're checking on your UVA email regularly. We communicate, offices like Multicultural Student Services communicate, all of our UVA offices communicate directly with students through their UVA email. So it's important that y'all are keeping an eye on that inbox. That said, if you have any questions and you're not sure where to turn, feel free to send those our way to orientation@virginia.edu. We're happy to guide you to the right answer. Again, recordings of this webinar and our previous webinars are on our website. This one will be posted in about a week or so and it'll live there for the rest of the summer. And if you have any questions at the end of the webinar that aren't answered by our presenters, feel free to reach out to them directly. So without further ado, I'm happy to introduce this evening's presentation from Multicultural Student Services. Our friends from MSS are here to talk about all they provide for students during the school year. There are some interactive elements tonight, so get your phones ready, and there will also be an opportunity to ask questions at the end of the presentation if you have any. But yeah, go ahead and take it away, y'all.
Great, thank you, Matt. Hi, everybody. So great to have so many of you join us this evening. My name is Vicki Gist. I am a Senior Associate Dean of Students within the Division of Student Affairs, and I'm the Director for Multicultural Student Services. So this evening, my team and I are here to talk to you about all the things that our office does to support students who are underrepresented or are marginalized, hold marginalized identities at the university. And so we'll talk a little bit about, who all that includes, the services, programs, what we do with students on a regular basis to just create a sense of belonging and inclusion and engagement for you. And we also have, as part of our mission, which I'll talk about a little bit later, is an educational component too. So we'll spend some time explaining to you all of those things. I want to give my team an opportunity to introduce themselves to you as well before we get started so that you can see everybody who sort of supports our work. So thank you for joining us.
Hi, everybody. My name is Dashan Axon Lawrence, and I am one of the assistant directors of Multicultural Student Services. Some of my, I use he, him pronouns, and some of the areas that I focus on within this work is social justice education, student success, and multicultural community development. I have been with MSS literally for a month and a week now. Transitioned just from UVA athletics, which is a big transition, but one that I'm very excited for and ready for the school year and ready to meet with all of you throughout the school year to help you with everything that you need.
And hi, all. My name is Alex Winkowski. I use they, them, and theirs pronouns, and I am the other assistant director with Multicultural Student Services. I work very much, you'll hear about our centers later. The center that I work with quite a lot is the LGBTQ Center and the Interfaith Student Center. So within that role, I provide a lot of individualized student support for LGBTQ students, particularly for new students and transfer students who are new to the university as they transition into kind of finding queer and trans community at UVA. Part of my role is making sure that there's a solid support system there and getting folks connected to community, in addition to supporting the broader community and educating folks on things like advocacy and allyship.
Hi, everyone. My name is Carissa Temerson. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a program coordinator with Multicultural Student Services. I've been with Multicultural Student Services for a little over a year now. And my primary role is to support Hispanic Latinx students and Native Indigenous students at UVA. So that's individual and student support and student organizations, working with peer mentorship programs and leadership programs, and supporting those communities.
Hey everyone, my name is Nihali Patel, and I'm also a program coordinator with MSS. I recently joined just 2 weeks ago, so I'm really new, but I will be serving the APISA student community. So that's the Asian Pacific Islander, South Asian American, and also the MENA students. So that would be Middle Eastern, North African. I'll also be overseeing the new Asian American Student Center that's opening this semester, which we're all really excited about.
Okay, so as Matt mentioned, we are going to be doing a few kind of interactive components tonight. So we're going to be using something called Mentimeter. And so if you're not familiar with this tool, it's a tool to kind of help folks interact when we don't have a chat and things like that, just to kind of get some, some responses from folks. So our first Mentimeter, this is the first of 3, is we're going to have folks take out your phones and you're going to be answering the question, how are you feeling about coming to UVA? And we're going to do something fun and see how you can do that and describe that using only emojis. So let me go ahead and share my screen, and you'll see up at the top here that there's a website called menti.com, and you can type in the code that is right there at the top. And then as you put in your emoji or emojis, they will pop up on the screen here. And this is just a way to kind of get a feeling for how folks are feeling, as a lot of folks have gone through orientation, kind of visited UVA. Let us know, how are you feeling? I'll give folks a couple seconds here just to respond and get on the website. Ooh, we love like a dancing emoji. That's cute. Love, oh, love, excited with a lot of D's. Oh, amazing. I love it. Good vibes. I love that. I can see someone, I think, tried to put emoji in, but for some reason the platform did not allow that. But I want to kind of just say that it's really exciting that a lot of folks who are in here are looking forward to the time at UVA. And hopefully today, as we talk through our mission, talk through our office and all of the different programs and services that we offer, the role of our office is really to help folks kind of find their place at UVA. So I see there's also a parent who's nervous and can't find the emoji button, which is totally fine. Being nervous totally makes sense as well. And our office is really here to help folks find community and find their people at UVA. And we're really excited to kind of walk you through our different services, as our office does quite a bit to serve the community and welcome students as well.
Okay, so to start off, I just want to talk to you a little bit about our mission. This will give you an idea of sort of, what we focus on, but also sort of our priorities as an organization. So as I mentioned earlier, our office has this mission to really promote inclusion and engagement, belonging and success for students who are historically marginalized. So that's really a huge part and the bulk of what we do. And so when you hear about the work that each of the staff members mentioned, the specific roles with communities, that work is all of the things you'll hear later today are all focused on creating this sense of inclusion and gaining a sense of connection to the university, to your peers, but also to us. And ultimately what we're focusing on is this sense of belonging, that this is your university, that you feel you have a place here, you see where you're connected, you have a place and resources where you can utilize when you need support, And ultimately, our goal is to make sure that you're a successful student. So as you engage with us, you'll often hear us talking about those 4 words: inclusion, engagement, belonging, and success. And so the other part of our mission really is to be able to help students from all backgrounds, all experiences, learn to sort of navigate and interact with folks who have different ideas, who come from different worldviews and perspectives. And so to be able to leave UVA having developed this ability to sort of navigate what we call a diverse and ideologically complex world, that there are lots of different opinions and viewpoints, ideological perspectives, that we want students to be able to experience, acknowledge, to be able to dialogue across those experiences, and to be able to know, to develop the skills and the comfort to be able to engage across that difference at the university, but also after you graduate. You know, ultimately, we want to make sure that you're developing those skills that will help you be, you know, successful graduates and enter the workplace, or go on and pursue, you know, more education beyond UVA, but to be able to prepare you for that. So those are the 2 things that we really focus on. And the way that we do it is by creating these programs and services that are culturally relevant, meaning that the programs and services that we do are created with this lens towards identity. How does your identity, your cultural viewpoint, the way you identify culturally impact the way you'll interact as a student here with us, but also how do we pay attention to that as we're developing programs and services for you. So we are focusing on culturally relevant services and programs. We also do quite a bit of community advocacy. So thinking about what is it that our students need to be able to thrive at UVA. And then also creating learning experiences such as the ones I talked about through a variety of different programs and learning opportunities for you. And you'll get to see some examples actually of the types of work that we do in that regard. But ultimately we want you to develop a deeper sense of yourself, to find community, and then to get a sense of what it's like to sort of find your voice as an individual, but also as part of a collective, larger community. So I know that was a lot, but that gives you a sense of sort of what we focus on, and everything that you'll hear from us now and what you'll see from us as a student here is really our effort as a team to help fulfill this mission. And so specifically, these are the areas that we cover. So our programs and services include student transition, so programs that will help you enter the university and to quickly sort of adjust and get to know sort of the services that we offer, but also to provide you support and resources to kind of navigate the rest of the university too. And so so we do welcoming programs. So you'll see large events early on from us to welcome you to the community. But we also have mentoring programs that will connect you to an upper class student and to have a guide or a mentor throughout the year. And so we'll talk about that a little bit later. We have success programs that again span academic, career, and other types of information that you'll need to just be able to navigate UVA. We have programs that focus on identity and identity development, particularly in all of our student centers, multicultural community engagement, and then also learning about social justice education. And again, that intercultural engagement piece that I talked about earlier. We do that out of 4 current and soon to be 5 student centers that are all located in Newcomb Hall. So if you came for orientation, then you spent a lot of time in Newcomb Hall. And if you did not come for orientation, then trust me, you will spend a lot of time in Newcomb Hall when you get here. So it is considered, it's the student center, it's where a lot of activity happens. So we have a number of other student affairs offices in Newcomb Hall as well, but our office, our staff are all located here across 5 centers. The Multicultural Student Center, which is on the 2nd floor, Same hall, the same floor as the dining hall and Starbucks if you're into coffee. I don't drink coffee, but a lot of people do. But so if you find Starbucks, you can find the Multicultural Student Center. The LGBTQ Center and the Latinx Student Center are both on the 3rd floor. The Interfaith Student Center is up on the 4th floor of Newcomb Hall, and our Asian American Student Center is going to be on the lower level. So if you came for orientation and you had any sessions down where the theater is, that's where the Asian American Student Center is going to be. And we're expecting that that center will open, hopefully, fingers crossed, shortly after fall break. So that is where we primarily do our work, and all of our staff have offices either in or very near those centers. And so again, the communities that we support are there on the right, and we mentioned several of those when the staff were introducing themselves. The only two that were not mentioned are our Muslim students and our DACA and undocumented students. That's because the work and the support for those students has actually sort of grown and evolved and shown itself as a need over time. And so, so we also do support pretty heavily our Muslim student population. We have now 3 student organizations that we try to support closely, and we spend a lot of time working with them, particularly making sure that services are coordinated during Ramadan. And then I serve as the Division of Student Affairs and the university sort of liaison to supporting DACA and undocumented students. And so, you know, if there are any students in particular around DACA and undocumented student status, students can reach out to me directly and confidentially about any concerns there. So that is sort of a big overview of all the things that we do, and the staff is now going to give you a little bit more detail about what those programs and services look like.
All right, so on this screen, we've broken down the programs and services that we're going to talk about. And the first one, transition activities, is highlighted in red because we're going to start with that section. So as Dean Gist talked about briefly, we have peer mentor programs, and then we have new student welcome events. So we're going to start off by talking briefly about the peer mentor programs and what those are. So right now we have 2 active ones. The one that's grayed out is one that our office runs but is not currently active. So the 2 active ones are the APISA, so Asian Pacific Islander South Asian Peer Advising Family Network, and then the Hispanic Latinx Peer Mentoring Program is PMP. And those mentor programs, as Dean Gist said, pair incoming students with an upperclassman mentor who works with you throughout your entire first year at UVA. So it's a year-long program, and you will do community building and like involvement, engagement, social activities, but you'll also do things like academic and student success activities, and you'll get to know both other like mentees. You'll get to know a lot of mentors, not just your own. You'll also engage with professional staff. So the people here with our office, you'll go to larger scale kind of community building, programming. You'll get involved in a lot of different activities. And it's honestly a great way to make friends really quickly during the school year and get to know people, both like incoming first years and transfer students, but also people that have been students at UVA already and are experienced and part of student organizations and know a lot of stuff. So it's a great way to kind of initially get involved with the office and with UVA. All right. So the peer mentor programs, when you have a mentor, your mentor has like a few responsibilities. So like what you could expect from having a mentor is that they're going to meet consistently with you as a new student. So they'll be like texting you, emailing you, meeting with you in person, grabbing coffee, providing support for you frequently, especially during kind of that beginning part of the year. And then they'll be meeting with you consistently as well throughout the rest of your first year. They'll also be taking you to student success programming that has been planned out by our office. So we have like a list of things that you can get engaged in and involved in that'll help you kind of learn how to navigate UVA academically and also like in your overall student success and wellness. The mentors will also take you to social gatherings and community building opportunities where you can meet people, and they'll connect you with relevant resources around UVA. So whether that's connecting you to a person or an office or taking you to different things so that you can know everything that's available to you. They're kind of your point person to get you connected to different aspects of like assistance, help, and support. And then we also have new student welcome events. So we have a series of events that are kind of happening at the very beginning of the year to welcome all new students. And those are also really good opportunities to meet other new students and also current students, upperclassmen who are coming to just like talk to you and get to know you and get you involved in stuff. So the first kind of big thing that you should keep on your radar is the new student welcome and community receptions that our office hosts on the evening of the first day of classes. So that's Tuesday, August 22nd at 6:30. And that will be in the Newcomb Ballroom in kind of that building where you're going to spend all your time and see us all the time. But that'll be a big welcome where you're going to hear a little bit more about what our office does and then break up into community specific receptions. We'll have our different centers open and some other spaces around Newcomb Hall where you can go meet people from different student organizations who are involved in the community, get some food, get to know staff. Get to know their new students and current students, and really just kind of have a big kickoff to the year. We'll have a first Feel Good Fridays for new students. That'll be just a fun event that we have in the Multicultural Student Center with food and getting to know you, activities and fun times. And we're going to be able to see all the centers. So we will kind of stop by all the different spaces so you can see everything and then kind of wrap up in the Multicultural Student Center. So a good tour of our centers. And in the first 6 weeks in general, we have lots of welcoming programming, lots of activities that are going to happen, lots of like get to know you type things. So you can come by all of our student centers within the first 6 weeks of school. And we're just going to have a lot of things for you to be able to come do and get to know everyone and get to know us. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And you should definitely stop by to get to know everybody. But yeah, so now we have another Mentimeter. So we want you to think about what comes to mind when you think about community and answer what you think about when you hear the word community. So Alex is going to go ahead, and pull that up. So again, you can go to menti.com and use that code there. This is a later Mentimeter.
Sorry, y'all. That was my bad. Here it is, y'all.
There we go. So what comes to mind when you think about community? So we'll give you guys a few seconds, maybe like 15, 20 seconds to answer. Inclusivity. That's a great response. I think about food, good people, and good vibes. Yeah, that is definitely the vibe at some of our social gatherings and like community building gatherings. Food, good people, getting to know everyone, and good vibes. Speaking of good vibes, we always have good music playing in all of our student centers. So when you come to hang out, you're always going to have some good playlists going. So always good vibes in our areas. Okay, we also had someone say friends and family. Definitely good response. Yeah, getting to know everyone and definitely making friends is something that you're going to do during your first 6 weeks of school, especially. So coming to all the events is going to be a great way to meet people. Understanding each other. Okay, yeah, definitely. Community is understanding each other, making connections and getting to know everybody. Awesome. Okay.
Awesome. So this is me. And when I think of community, I also think of food, good people, and good vibes. I love good vibes. I am the vibe specialist in the office. So I always think that that's a good thing. But one of the areas that I focus on, of course, is like I mentioned earlier, is multicultural student success. And in that area, we really primarily think about the academic and career related resources, as well as this personal support that we provide students on a daily basis. There we go. So some of the services and the opportunities that we provided in the past, and as you can see from the different programs that we provided y'all as just a baseline, and I give an idea of what we've done. We do a program every Friday called Food and Foresight. Basically, with these Food and Foresight programs is that we are bringing in different entities on grounds, a lot of our colleagues, to just kind of teach y'all some of the resources that y'all have. For example, we bring in the comm school that would kind of give students information on how to get into comm and what are some of the things to kind of prepare you for that opportunity. That in the School of Leadership and Public Policy. We might even bring in financial aid to talk about scholarships and other financial supports that you can get. And we really try to be very intentional with those different resources, but most importantly, try to introduce students and as well as these different offices to the students that may need their support. One of the other prides and joys is drop-in advising that we provide. We think that it's always a great time for students to kind of get information on how to talk about their academic progress at the university, especially myself coming from an academic background, wanting to make sure the students know what classes they need to take per semester in order for them to achieve their degree and also get into the majors that they want to. It is always a great idea. You can never start too soon to kind of get that consultation. So we make sure we bring in professionals like the deans of different colleges and just those different resources to help you. Our pre-professional series is something that we do in the spring semester, which we take groups of first-year students to the pre-professional colleges that we have at the institution. So we're going to take a trip over there to Darden to learn about their business program. We're going to take a trip over to UVA Med School to kind of see what is it like being a med student. Also to the UVA Law School, just to make sure we kind of teach students of the life after college and the things and the resources that they have available to them while they're here at the institution. Our Unfiltered Careers series was a partnership that we did with the Career Student Center, that really focused on marginalized communities and how we can help them in interview skills, resumes, their cover letters to kind of get their point across and get their message across. But most importantly, we wanted to support these students during the job search process. At any given moment, students are always looking for jobs. It might not be in your first year, it might not be in your second year, but by that third and fourth year and post-graduation, you do want to make sure that you have those tools in order for you to be successful. The Things I Wish I Knew series is where we are bringing in career professionals on grounds, faculty and staff that have just made amazing contributions to their field. Some of the different speakers that we've been discussing for this upcoming year, I'm super excited about it, and to just really introduce these people to them. Also STEM tutoring in MSc, as well as having opportunities for our success interns. But most importantly, we want to make sure that we're providing each student with individual support. Like it was mentioned earlier in the PowerPoint, that all of the staff have an office inside of these centers or very close to these centers. And we all have an open door policy to make sure that not only are we helping the students get to point A to B, but we're helping them get to orientation and graduation, which is the most important aspect of our positions.
Okay, y'all. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our identity development and support work that was mentioned a little bit earlier, and go a little more in depth on some of the specific ways that we support students. So first is our leadership development programs. So, you come to UVA, you get welcomed, you go to our welcome reception, and then in your spring semester, you want to kind of go deeper with this work and think more about your identity more specifically. We have 4 listed on here, 4 leadership opportunities, 4 leadership development programs that are student run. And I really want to emphasize that, and we'll talk about this again, and I'll mention this in a couple of slides too. These programs and a lot of our programs are really created, the ideas are thought up, and a lot of the work is done by students. So these are programs that students have created the curriculum. They have organized kind of how they want the structure of the organization to be. And we as professional staff are there for guidance and support. But I can tell you that these students have spent a long time crafting the curriculum for these programs. And really the focus is on how does my identity, how do my experiences relate to me being a leader, either on grounds, but then also beyond UVA. So, there are different sessions every week, and you have different topics that you speak about, and all of that work and all of that leadership development work is done in the context of the specific program and the identity that's really centered in that space. So for first and second years in the spring semester, we have our Asian Pacific American Leadership Training Institute, or APALTI, our Latinx Leadership Institute, and our Muslim Institute for Leadership and Empowerment. And then also for folks who are transfer students, it's more relevant for y'all if y'all are on this call and transferring in as a second or third year. We also have our Women's Asian American Leadership Initiative. And also if you're a incoming first year on this call, you're also invited, of course, to apply for those programs when you're second and third year as well. And these are some pictures of previous cohorts. And these groups tend to create really, really close connections together. And the students put a lot of work into making these programs successful. And the feedback that we get is incredibly positive, in that these programs really help folks find not only a sense of community, but also really help them feel more ready to take on leadership roles. Next are our student centers. So as folks have mentioned, we have currently 4 student centers with a 5th on the way. So we already kind of mentioned where these spaces are in Newcomb Hall, but we wanted to put some pictures up here to kind of give you an idea of what the spaces look like. For a lot of these spaces, students, or actually all these spaces, students were a really important part of creating them. And so as you'll see, they reflect that. And so they're colorful, they have a lot of spaces to hang out and to study, to build community. All of them have different ways to serve food, because that's come up a couple of times. So we'll often have food in these centers for community. And, while during the day, the centers are often used for hanging out and studying and coming together and kind of relaxing between classes, these spaces are also really lively in the evening. So after 5 p.m., and sometimes even during the day, we'll have programs in here. Student organizations will reserve the spaces for their own events. And there are spaces to come by to meet new people. We might have intercultural engagement programs where folks can learn more about different identities and experiences. And most importantly, we always have really great music in all these spaces as well, except for the Interfaith Student Center, since that is kind of a prayer meditation space, of course. But in the 4 other spaces, there's always music going on. And we try to keep those as spaces where people can decompress between classes rather than only see them as a study space. We want them to be spaces where folks can be themselves and decompress a little bit. In all these centers as well, I'll just mention that we have paid internships, and again, students are the ones really kind of creating the programming for these spaces as well. And the last thing I'll mention is just some more specific services and programs and things. These are just a few examples of the many different things that we do to support specific student communities. So I mentioned internships earlier. However, also many of our student centers have volunteer programs. So these volunteers will usually sit at the front desks in the centers for 1 to 2 hours a day and kind of just create a welcoming environment for folks, maybe answer the phone, make sure that the space is tidy and kept in a nice state. So these positions are often sought by new students. And so if you are a new student who is looking for a way to get connected to our office, to community in general, I will really often suggest that folks get involved with our volunteer program, because oftentimes we'll try to get you connected to upper class students, and you'll also just be in the space every week. And it tends to be a really great way just to make connections that way. So we'll talk at the end about how to stay connected with us, and especially more about our social media. And that will be where all of these opportunities that we're mentioning will be posted. So be sure to follow us when we mention that later. Professional staff connections, I'll mention again, as folks have said, our offices are right around these centers, and a huge part of our job is, supporting y'all. So you're always welcome to stop by our offices. And if you have a question, if you're not sure who to go to, even if you are coming to an office and you really don't know if we're the right person to speak to about something, we can be that person who helps connect you to the right office for support. We have identity-centered programming in multiple of our spaces, since these centers serve specific populations of students. So programming, for example, in the LGBTQ center that really focuses on specific identities and experiences. So as you come through UVA, you'll be able to build community that way. I mentioned student organizations and reservations in all of our centers. And Dashan talked quite a bit about community engagement in the Multicultural Student Center. Some examples of programs that you'll see over here, we have Comida y Comunidad in the Latinx Student Center. This is kind of a space where Carissa will often create opportunities for folks to come together and eat over a certain topic. I know a while back we had a conversation about like Indigenous language in the Spanish language and how Indigenous culture influenced modern Spanish language and things like that. So really cool topics to talk about over dinner. We also have brunches in the QC or the LGBTQ Center every other week. And these are just times where sometimes I'll bring in offices and things to speak to folks. And they're really just times to come together, and we cater from a local queer-owned bakery who comes in and provides pastries, and that's really wonderful. If you identify within specific LGBTQ communities and things, we have some affinity groups. So we have affinity group that meets every 3 weeks or so. All the groups have group messages. They have ways to stay in contact with each other. And right now we have 5 affinity groups. This list has grown over the years as we've identified more needs. So we have a group that's specifically for trans and gender nonconforming students. We have an affinity group that meets every 3 weeks for Black queer students. It's called the Black Queer Club. We have one called Cutie BIPOC Hangout for queer and trans students of color, one called Arrow Ace Space for aromantic and asexual students, and one called Sapphic Circle that is for women and women-aligned folks who are attracted to women and other genders. So this might be lesbian or bisexual women or women-aligned folks. So these are specific groups that if you identify with any of those communities that I just mentioned, that's a great way to kind of find a specific community within the LGBTQ Center and make connections that way. In our Interfaith Student Center, we also have opportunities for folks to build connections across different faith traditions, and that would be through our interfaith socials. And you'll also see every time we have a Heritage Month that kind of comes up, that's on like the national calendar, we'll have a list of events that will go along with that Heritage Month. So I know the first one coming up is Latin American Heritage Month that Carissa and folks across the university are kind of working on putting together. So those will be events that'll come out, probably pretty soon at the start of the school year, and you'll get to check out those events and see that calendar come together. So it's just one of the many ways that we celebrate the many different backgrounds and identities of folks who exist at UVA.
Cool. So Alex was talking about how all of our centers have different programs, and we wanted to highlight the Multicultural Student Center as a place where a lot of activities and programs happen, but we also want to highlight that it's a space for everyone at UVA, and so we welcome all students to kind of come together in this space. So some of the things that we have and host at the MSC are supposed to be to really support our mission to help students kind of engage cross-culturally and to just be surrounded by people with different opinions, different backgrounds. So sometimes these are planned events, so programs that the interns put on, programs that we want to put on. Sometimes, however, they're also organic. So when students come by and just kind of hang out and stop in to like lay on the couch or listen to the music, they're organically creating some of those communications and community building. So that's one of the aspects of the MSC. I personally think it's such a beautiful space and it's so relaxing and fun. And so it's quiet right now, but definitely going to be high energy in the semester. So we have success programming, and that is predominantly tutoring and support for academics, intern programming. All of the spaces will have interns, but specifically in the MSc, we'll have interns put on regular programs throughout the semesters. And that's usually really exciting for the spaces themselves. Community building, we also do like first year dinner series and feel good Fridays. I would say these are more of the ways that the MSS as a whole wants to just kind of have like a fun, sort of welcoming environment, something more casual, because we do talk about some heavy topics and there's some heaviness in the work that we do. So these are ways to just kind of build more casual community. Dashan, I think, will speak about social justice education delivery as well. And so that's something that happens within the MSc. And then CIOs reserve those spaces within the MSc for meetings and programs. They also do it throughout the other centers. But once again, the MSc is a place for everyone. So we will often see different CIOs kind of coming there to meet and hang out.
Oh yes, like Nahali said, I will be talking about social justice, education, and intercultural engagement. We're almost done, everybody, so you're doing great. Hold on with us. We are almost there. We are almost there. So another big part of our area is, like I mentioned, is social justice education and intercultural engagement. And what that consists of is educational workshops with our multicultural peer educators, which we commonly refer to as MPEs, and safe space trainings, and also a UNST 2500 social justice education and engagement course that we teach within our area as well. So before we go into there, we have that one last Mentimeter. I've been working on that word all day.
Yes, the one that I spoiled earlier. Yes, there was a spoiler earlier, but now it's for real.
So we're going to ask the question, has anyone done anything like this at their high schools or other institutions? One more time, has anyone done anything like this at their high schools or other institutions? Go ahead and join menti.com and use code 7889-4152. Any other question? For those that have not done anything like this, what would you like to learn? There we go. Give everybody about a couple more seconds. Don't forget about us, y'all. We almost there. It's all right. All right. Maybe a little bit more. There we go. No, but it sounds awesome. Listen, I think it sounds pretty awesome too. We really just want to make sure that we're providing students with enough tools that they can use throughout their time at UVA, mostly just to make a better change and to help others grow and learn as well. Well, thank you. We are very glad that we are doing great. That's very sweet.
Nice.
And we really appreciate you. And listen, we're just here trying to do good work.
Yes.
Okay. But as we're going forward, we really do appreciate you all for engaging with us this long with the Mentimeters and providing us that. So like I mentioned earlier, we do have a multicultural peer educator program, which like I said, we refer to them as MPEs. And these are student-led, these are students that have basically dedicated their time to kind of learn 6 topics that focus around ideas of like social identities, microaggressions, unpacking socialization. And what we think that is so important about these courses is it's these students are learning this tough work and making sure how to learn how to conduct workshops to provide education for people, but these are your fellow students. So in many cases, we can step in as professional staff members to conduct these things if it's for fraternities and sororities and different things of that sort. However, these students are being trained throughout the semester to be able to how these workshops and conduct these spaces. And basically what these are doing is introducing students to key social justice concepts, provide space to explore creating a more inclusive and equitable UVA community, and include interactive dialogue and activities. So these students are trained, they are ready to do the work, and we will be starting to do that work as we approach the fall, into making sure that we can provide as many educational opportunities to students as possible at the university. So some of the programs and services that we have done in the past is our race and series. So for example, we have done race and identity. Am I Asian enough? Race and fetishization by Nia Baker, and a lot of these different I would say programs were basically conducted by our students, and they saw a need that students probably have expressed to them, or things that they thought was very necessary for us to talk about, and wanted to bring these people in order to shed light on these different topics. And what I think is most important about it is that we're bringing people that have lived these different topics that they are speaking about, and are willing to come and speak to the UVA students about their lived experiences, which is more impactful than anything. One program that I have been, states have told me since I've gotten here that has been so super popular is the Conversations with Charlie, which is a Black trans man and living in the South. They spoke so highly of Charlie and of the knowledge that he imparted on the students and how he was so received by the students. But most importantly, why it was so impactful is, like I mentioned, is that these people are talking about their lived experiences, and we're just providing them the space, because the students are gravitating to these different topics. Of course, these are just some topics that we have done in the past, but we're always looking for bigger ideas, better ideas of how to gain other populations that we might not have touched on. But this is an opportunity for incoming students, even first years that might have done some of this work in the past, that want to get back involved and continue that good work. So please look, go online or go to our social media to see about the MPE program, to read more about it and what it's about and the requirements. And if you have any questions, of course, you can reach out to us at the end of the presentation to kind of get more information.
So the last thing that I'll speak about here is, in addition to the multicultural peer educators and all of the intercultural engagement programs that happen throughout multicultural student services in our different centers, I also work with the LGBTQ center interns, and specifically we have an education intern who conducts these different safe space workshops. So at some institutions, they're called Safe Zone. At UVA, we call them safe space workshops. And over time, these workshops have expanded a little bit. So we have kind of the traditional foundational safe space workshop that consists of, a really broad overview of what is gender, what is sexuality, what is sex, all these questions that are kind of foundational to allyship and advocacy and understanding LGBTQ terminology and issues. And then we've also added a few other workshops over time as well. So there is a workshop called Primer on Pronouns. Since this has been a topic that a lot of folks have had interest in, and it's also a really great way to visibly and show support for queer and trans community. We have an hour-long workshop that really just covers like how, what, why, how do I use pronouns in a really thoughtful way? Why are they important? What are they and how do I use them? That's only an hour-long workshop, and that's a workshop that's really meant to be very skills-based, and kind of by the time that workshop is over, to be able to leave and to use pronouns more thoughtfully and more confidently. And we also have a workshop that's specifically about gender transition resources at UVA, and kind of more broadly as well. What does gender transition look like broadly, and then specifically within the context of being a UVA student or staff member? So I'm going to be conducting a couple of these workshops pretty early on in the semester, particularly the transitioning workshop will probably happen pretty soon, close to the start of the semester. And just to be clear that this workshop is open for anybody, as are all of these workshops. So you do not have to identify as a member of the community to attend these workshops or even to come into the LGBTQ Center. It's a space for everybody. And we many times have had folks come to the workshop because they have a queer or trans friend, family member, or colleague that they want to support more thoughtfully. So especially the transitioning workshop, I want to just emphasize that that is a workshop that is open to the entire community. And we're also kind of been adding more specific identity focused workshops, like a workshop more focused on asexuality, and also a workshop called Exploring Lesbian Identities. So if you're interested in talking more generally about queer and trans community, or you're interested in kind of diving deeper with a specific identity or topic, those are things to look out for on our social media that we'll talk about next to close us out.
All right, so thank you everyone for coming. Before we just wrap up, so these are our Instagram handles and like Facebook pages. On Instagram is really where we post all of our stuff. So all of the things for like all of the centers, really except for the QC, the LGBTQ Center, are on the MSS_UVA. And then the LGBTQ Center, like events and programs, are on the UVA LGBTQ Instagram. So if you go on there, you will see kind of all of our stuff happening week to week. And we post very actively during the school year. And so it's a great way to like follow us and like know just what's happening coming up soon, so that you can come to stuff and like get some more information about things. And then that is our email address, multicultural@virginia.edu. So you can reach out to our office that way, or you can reach out to any specific staff member. But if you're also not sure like who you want to reach out to and you want to reach out to our office generally, you can send us an email at that email address. But we also want to have some time for questions if anyone has anything that they are dying to know. We have a Q&A function here, so if anyone has any questions, you can feel free to put stuff there, and we will answer prior to the end of our workshop.
And if you don't have any questions, that's all right.
Well, I do see one question,
Okay.
Dustin, that just came up. So
Whoop, whoop.
someone asked, thank you for the seminar. Thank you. Well, you're welcome. Where can we learn more about volunteering? So volunteering, a great way to stay in touch about that is going to be to follow us on Instagram. And all of our Instagram posts are also cross-posted to Facebook. So if you are a Facebook user and that is like your primary social media, then you will see that also pop up on your Facebook as well. We also have a newsletter that will start sending out kind of more communications about towards the start of the year. But the best way to do that is just to stay in touch with us on social media. And then also you're welcome to email multicultural@virginia.edu and let us know, you know, if you have a center you're interested in volunteering with and getting involved, we can get you connected to that person who will be overseeing that volunteer program and get in touch with you that way too. It's a good question.
Yeah, there's also a question about the leadership program. So for first years interested in the leadership programs, do those applications come out in the spring of 2024? The recruitment for the cohorts will actually be in the fall, and there will be information sessions, like multiple ones for each of the springtime leadership programs happening in the fall. So there'll be like Q&A sessions and info sessions. And if you like look at our website and then follow on Instagram the different leadership programs, so if you're looking at any specific one, you can follow them on Instagram, and they post all of their information about what's coming up, and it's all on the calendar as well for our office, which is on our website. Then you can see like when their different info sessions are happening, and then there'll be applications to apply for the cohorts in the fall. So all of that will be happening this coming semester. So you'll learn more about that from, you know, Instagram, newsletter, website, all the different kind of sources coming out in the fall. So keep an eye out coming up in this semester.
Yeah, one thing I think we didn't share with you all is that, so we also have, well, if you got any communications from us, like our welcome newsletter, and you'll get some reminders from us. So if you identify with the populations that we serve, then admission has also provided us with information so that we can reach out to you. So occasionally you may also get emails directly from us. So it may not be, you know, Instagram or the newsletter. You may actually get an email from one of the 5 of us letting you know about events that we think are important for you to know, or opportunities that are passed on to us that we then will pass on to you. Some of them may be community specific, some of them may just be opportunities that are really important for the broader multicultural community to know. So also know that sometimes we will do targeted outreach to you as well.
Which is why it's important to make sure you activate your UVA email, because a lot of correspondence is being sent to you all currently by organizations and by departments and your potential professors. And you will not get any of that information if your UVA email isn't activated. So please make sure y'all do that as soon as possible in order for you not to be left behind. But if y'all don't have any more questions, we are so appreciative for y'all having us here and being able to share our information from our office. And please do not hesitate to reach out to us via email or through our social medias to ask any questions that you may have, or just want to just get some information about our different communities that we serve. We really can't wait to see y'all this fall, and we just hope y'all have a great remainder of the summer and get excited for the fall of 2023. Thank y'all so much for having us today, and I hope you have a good evening.